Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're glad you took some time to be with us this evening. I am Alyssa DeFilippo with Parents Helping Parents. I manage Connections California, our statewide online resource and information hub for transition to adulthood and adult services. So if you would like to help your young adult learn about work and learn about a program called Project Search, you are at the right place. This evening's presenter is Cindy Burns from Project Search. And Project Search, if you don't know, is a program that challenges traditional expectations and empowers young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities to achieve competitive employment. Cindy's journey with Project Search began long before she officially joined the team. It started at age 15, growing up in a home that fostered children with significant disabilities who had recently left institutional care. The early experience opened her eyes, not to limitations, but to potential. She saw that these young people didn't need to be fixed, they needed opportunity. So her work centers on building strong partnerships among families, schools, and businesses to ensure that every young person, regardless of diagnosis, has a chance to contribute, succeed, and thrive. And Cindy is joining us tonight from Alabama, so we are definitely going to end on time. And please give a warm welcome to Cindy and thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to share a little bit about Project Search. I'm very passionate about it, like you said, as a person that grew up with individuals who had a diagnosis of typical intellectual disabilities, autism, and so forth. It's such a blessing to see how many people have been impacted by it. And I'm going to share a little bit about that now with you. So as I do this, let me see what we can get going here. So I'm going to get started. 3, 2, 1. Let's see here what we can do. So I am going to ask, are you able to see my screen?
We are, if you could just move the little PHP box, there we
How's
go.
that?
We
Are we
are
good?
good to go. We are good
Okay.
to go. Thank
Well,
you.
this is Project Search informational session, and hopefully this will help you understand a little bit more about Project Search. So I'm going to start with a video. It is very, I know you can tell by my voice, I'm a Southern girl. This is Project Search Mississippi style, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of see exactly what the program looks like before we get started. So here's a video.
All right, I want you to go to your jobs today. Remember, it's Friday. I want you to be what? Fired up. Be fired up. Have that positive attitude. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Let's do this. Let's go. Good luck in your departments today and be fired up. Be fired up.
Project Surge is a program for kids with unique needs to come to the program and be a part of a new beginning of something beautiful in the community.
Project Search is an innovative program for high school students with disabilities. The Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services offers Project Search to communities all across the state.
Every parent with a disabled child has the same worry that overwhelms them, and it's what is going to happen to my child when I'm no longer there to help them. And this has given my husband and me just a sense of peace that she has found a place. She's successful in the place that she's found, and she's going to be a productive adult. And that's all we wanted, just be a happy, productive adult for society.
So that was her daughter.
They aren't sitting in a traditional classroom 6 hours a day with a teacher just talking to them. They are hands-on. They are learning on-the-job training and building confidence. It is a total wraparound service between their mentors, their skills trainers, their supervisors, their instructors, and the support from the parents. They are successful. But when you have MDRS, you have a school district, and you have the hospital behind them, they can't help but be successful.
Our mission is improving health and saving lives for the communities that we serve, and I feel like this is an extension of our mission. Our community is so important, we wouldn't be here without them, and these students in Project Search hopefully will find the education that they need and the training that they need to then become another viable part of our community in the future. And so it's almost like the circle of life that we get to be a part of, and then they, feed us by allowing us to teach them and come and take care of our patients and our families. And so again, it's just the circle that just keeps revolving.
The agency coordinates the school districts with employers, and the end result is a hands-on work site for students.
A lot of times parents are struggling trying to decide, what's my young adult going to do when they leave high school. But to have this program to where they're working with their peers, they're learning a skill, they're doing their rotations where they're learning different jobs. It's so valuable to the young adults, to parents, to our agency. Just there's so many beneficiaries in this program. It really is exciting to see how it all works.
There's such a difference with Mississippi because they're so passionate about, as they move forward, how many sites they want to expand. So there's a lot of synergy going on. And each site I've gone to have all had that same passion. They really want to see their interns work and be successful.
And we'll rise up. I like the waves, we'll rise up.
So this is their graduation. And I want to tell you a story about these 3 interns at the end. So I was, what you noticed in there, I hope, is the joy, of course, because a lot of times when people are in high school, it can feel different, right? So when you're thinking about your young person, I know for me and our family members, they just felt different. But when you give people an opportunity to work and to build those skills, they feel part of something. And so I mentioned that I wanted to tell you a story about the 3. There was one of the people with the glasses on. Well, she worked, she had an internship, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the program. She had an internship in sterile processing, ended up going to get a job there. The other lady was a little shorter with the braids. She used to go to a daycare, and because of the skills she got and Project Search, she now works at the daycare that she actually went to, which was amazing. And lastly, the other guy in that group, he did an internship in a lab, and he did not love, one of the tasks that he was learning in Project Search was putting the labels on the different specimens. And he didn't love that part, but he had to do it. But they found out that he had a really good gift with Excel. And so he went back and he took a couple of classes, and now he works full time at that lab. And he is keeping up with all the infectious diseases and what's new and all this stuff. And so it's really cool. And that's where I think Project Search is the most successful. It's because it's a collaboration. Project Search is a transition program for students with disabilities ages 18 to 22. We do have adult programs. California is predominantly post. They're either high school and post high school. They have a lot more post high school programs as well. So it's like if they've already graduated, if you have a young person that's already graduated from high school, you haven't missed out, right? And so that is such a great opportunity to be able to catch them. But the goal is employment. Every single thing that intern or that young person, that student does, you'll hear me refer to them as an intern because they are selected into an internship at a host business. So this is all the people that are working together for one goal, and that is competitive integrated employment. It is a 36-week program, so it follows a school year. And so if the program starts in September, I think most of the California teams do start in September and go to June. So anyway, it's 36 weeks in the host business all year, but so you've got a host business, you've got employment service provider. So that could be Easter Seals, that could be Best Buddies, that could be Ability One, any of those type things. You have the interns and the families that are working together. You've got your folk rehab in California, it's DOR. You've got that long-term services, which would be your regional centers and your education partner. So in California, unlike Mississippi, the Department of Rehabilitation Services does not fund the programs. It would be your regional center. And that's how the interns are able to participate in the Project Search program. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about it. It is an international program. This slide, every day changes. So there's probably closer to 800 programs right now in 48 states. We've got a group right now in Australia, and we're starting in all the different countries, right? And since 2010, that's kind of when it exploded. Over 43,744 interns have been impacted by this. And so when you have 711 sites over all these years, it's a huge footprint that we're making in the world for people being able to work. So we have different host sites, although it was started in a hospital. You see, we've got hospitals and airports and manufacturing. Recently, in San Diego, Zoo has joined us. I've also been at Legoland recently, and there's also one in Imperial Valley that I'm going to be starting probably at the beginning of the year. In South California. So again, there's a vast from north to south. There predominantly a lot of them are in the south, but we're moving towards the north. Each site has a license. There's a model fidelity. So we hold the teams up to high expectations. But we're in rural, urban, large businesses, small business. Some of my more successful programs have even been in 25-bed hospitals, right? And so it doesn't have to be a huge mega hospital, right? It can be a small business, but we just need to make sure that we have those internships that those interns are going to get to go in. Here's kind of the breaks. You know, some people like to know, well, what countries are you in? So we have about 544 programs. Again, every day we start and stop programs, right? And so here's just where we all are per country. And here's all your California teams. Like I said, everywhere from San Francisco to Sacramento to Orange County area. So we're all over, and here's all of our businesses. I hope you can see this. Again, we're growing every year with more and more programs. And so it's so exciting to see all the growth and all the opportunities for these young people. Here's the host businesses, like I mentioned, in healthcare, colleges. It doesn't really matter as long as there's opportunities for interns or students to learn skills, because again, it's all about that skill gain that they're getting. So they've graduated high school, they're not in high school anymore. And so they're in that host business all the time. And we want to make sure that when they graduate from our program, they have every skill that they're going to need in order to get a job, both those soft skills and those harder skills, right? To learn what it's like to be an employee for a business. So these are kind of the partnership roles. So this is the expectation. So we've got our education partner, and that's who's going to have that instructor and the skills trainer. And they are that part of the team. They're looking for jobs as well. They are training the interns, where the host business provides that training room. They have what we call a business liaison, and that business liaison is kind of that connector between the schools. So we've got that instructor and that skills trainer who's from that education partner. Now, if it's not a high school program and there may be an employment service provider, and that would be like a community rehab provider that offers that skills trainer, that instructor. So the host business, they have, like I mentioned, they've got the training room, they've got the business liaison, then they have to give us those quality internships. So part of what I do is I go into those large businesses and I identify skills that the student intern is able to learn depending on their level of need and what they want to do. So I come in, I tour businesses, and I talk about breaking down skills so they can learn them. And then they also offer us a manager mentor. So We do not have one-on-one support. So if your young person needs that one-on-one constant support, Project Search may not be the right program for them, because it is about being independent in a job, and the funding doesn't typically pay for one-on-one supports long-term forever. And so we are trying to get people to be more independent. At first, if they need more supports, they can. But we do have that manager mentor, no differently than I do, right? Sometimes you're having a day at work and you just need someone to talk to and to kind of help guide you through. That's what we want from the host business. And then, of course, vocational rehabilitation or Department of Rehab in California, they have the counselors. They do some of the funding, disability awareness, and of course, they will help fund the uniforms and transportation, because the interns dress as if they are an employee of the host business. So they may be in scrubs, they may be in business attire. Obviously, at the zoo, they may be in shorts and polo shirts or whatever. And again, so it really does take on the culture of that business. And so who do we support? Who are we serving? We're serving young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities who need an intensive year of career development. So if your student or your young person is going off to college, Project Search is not for them. It's for someone who needs a higher level of support needs to learn the skills needed in order to get a job. And so they have to be eligible. They need to be able to get vocational rehabilitation services or DD services. They have to also have the ability to utilize appropriate hygiene, communication, and transportation, right? We want them to get there as independently as possible. Some areas, I'm well aware, do not have public transportation, but we need to have the conversation of, well, when they get a job, how are they going to get there, right? And if the host business requires drug screening, I know COVID caused a lot of havoc with us because some people weren't comfortable with their family member getting the COVID shot. But anything that's required for that host business is a requirement for you to be part of Project Search program. And then, of course, the desire to work. Some people want it as an experience, but the end goal is employment. And so your young person would need to have that expectation of going to work at the conclusion of the program. So we give programs 9 months after completion to find a job, because we feel like that if someone goes home and sits for long, it becomes more of a barrier, and also they feel kind of defeated. And so we want to make sure that they know the goal is work as soon as they graduate or as close to after graduation as possible. So here are some, as you see here, autism and intellectual disabilities are going to be the highest disability type that we support. Of course, there's other health impairments. And recently, there has been more and more of the deaf blind population that we're providing supports for, but a lot of them may have dual diagnosis, with autism and intellectual disabilities being our highest support interns that we're supporting. So you may be asking, well, what's the benefit, right? What's in it for my student or my child? Well, it's obviously to experience a variety of internships. Did you know when you were a young person what you wanted to do when you grew up? I did not know. Who would have ever thought that I would be able to sit here in Alabama right now talking to you on a Zoom call? But, it's giving them experience. What is behind the scenes? A lot of times our students may visit a hospital, but they don't know what all goes on. Going in the basement is where you find out kind of what it is, or in Legoland, going in behind the scenes, or wherever, right? But learning those marketable, transferable skills that you're going to need, getting that independence, that individual coaching, and that constructive feedback. Constructive feedback sometimes is very difficult because they don't know how to take it, and you have to change a behavior. I know even within myself, right? Sometimes you need someone to speak truth into you. And also going ahead and pulling everyone together. I showed you a graph a while ago of who all's involved. So you've got the school, you've got the business, you've got vocational rehabilitation, you've got DD services, you've got every support that young person is going to need in order to be successful long haul. We don't want anybody falling through the cracks. So what benefit is it to the host business? They have access to talent. A lot of times I'm called by businesses and I'm saying, hey, we want a program. We need to have a hiring stream for people that we're training up to be able to be successful working here. Now, I'm well aware of the unions, and so we're not taking jobs, we're learning skills. And so we want to make sure that our interns are learning the skills to be successful. And so host businesses say, well, I love it that we can give an opportunity to kind of help them understand what our expectations are within our host business. It increases that performance and retention. It also serves as role models for others, right? And then also increased recognition through marketing. You know, the fact that if you go to a business, I don't know about you, but as a person that had family members with disabilities, when I see that a business hires a person that has a disability, I'm going to frequent that place more. So it's just a win-win. And I'm not just, I speak this truth, right? This is a win-win for all. It's hard. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy because we're taking that student, right, that's used to bells and a lot of instruction and supports, and we're moving them into a host business. And so what I love about it is just kind of that comfort zone, right? That comes because you've got this whole team of people that are supporting that young person instead of going to a day program or community supports that aren't work, right? Having more support. We're trying to help them get independent because as I have recently found out, my mother passed away a couple of years ago and we had 5 kids with disabilities that are now adults. 3 of them came through a program and now they're living independently and they're successful. If they had not had this opportunity, they may not have been able to live and live the life they're living because my mom held them really close, you know, and she was really worried about them. So anyway, here's some of the benefits. And so what does that program look like? So it starts with the school year, like I mentioned. So in the South, we start a little earlier. I think we start like end of July, get out a little earlier. So about August, September, the student intern goes 3 rotations. So they start with 3 weeks. They get to know their host business. They start their cohort. Then they'll go through 1 internship for 10 weeks. Then they have a transition week. And during that transition week, they're going out in the community. They're learning more about work. They're interviewing for their second internship, and then that's repeated 3 times. At the end, there's a graduation. You saw a video of it, and you were able to see. And they're all different. Each site has a whole different culture because each business has a different culture. Even within our Kaisers, we have several. Each Kaiser feels a little different because of the team is a little. So anyway, it is a 36-week program. They do not go back to school. So they're not going back for pep rallies. They're not going back for field trips. They are in that host business all year long, and they follow the same calendar. So they also follow the same schedule. So if school starts at 7:30 and it gets out at 2:30, this is what the day looks like. They have an hour of curriculum every morning where we're teaching team building and self-advocacy and maintaining employment, social communication, and then they go out into their internship. So if this is a cohort, their average is around 8. So each intern would go into a different department and learn their skills. So one may be in dietary, one may be in EVS, one may be in sterile processing, one may be in landscaping. So they're going into different departments. And then every 10 weeks, they're rotating into a different department. At the end of the day, so they come in the curriculum, we sandwich it. And at the end of the day, we come in and we talk about, so how was our day today? What do we need to work on? You know, how was the cell phone use? Were we using professional? Were we professional? How did we do with break? And all the things. So just kind of learning from our day. So we're there the full day. So from 8, whatever your school day is. Okay, and here's the calendar. If schools are out, we're out. This is a high school program. Some of our adult programs look a little different because you don't need the 2 weeks off at Christmas. But I want to mention this. The expectation is they come every day. So if you're a family that needs to miss a lot of day, you have a lot of vacations and they high absenteeism, this is not probably going to be the program for you because the expectation is just like with work, right? How many days are you allowed to miss from work that's appropriate? And it's the same. We're getting them in that mindset. The benefit though is it does help that you still get those 2 weeks off at Christmas. You still get your spring breaks, your fall breaks, all your holidays. But there is a a transition into the adulthood, because your student child intern will be saying, okay, just letting you know, I'm going to be out for a week. It's fall break or Christmas and stuff. So it kind of helps them get used to, I'm going to be out sick tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment. It helps them with that. It's not mom and daddy calling or a family member. It's the intern student that's doing all that. So we do follow the school calendar. So here is an example of the zoo. This is, again, one of the newer programs we just started. And here's some of the skills they're going to learn. So let's say they're in the gift shop. That's a big one. They're filling customer orders. They're doing special orders. They're doing customer service. They operating the cash register, inspect merchandise, and so forth. So you see each internship has different skills. Does that mean that each intern has to be able to do all those skills? It does not. So if we look down at janitorial here, and I hope you can see it. If not, you'll get the PowerPoint, and I'm happy to share any of these documents with you. It may be that one intern's able to do 6 or 8 of these tasks, but it may be that some are just learning how to clean water coolers, dust and sweep, clean door handles, and clean bathrooms. And that's as far as they get, or dust. So we're not expecting them to do all of it, but the more of them they can do, the closer they are in order to get those competitive skills. And it also helps when we're out talking to employers about our student interns, that we can say, okay, we already know, we have a resume that says we can do these things, and we're doing quality productivity standards on them to see how well they're doing and if this is really their fit. Sometimes somebody may say, hey, I want to go work in animal health center. And then they get in there and they're like, I'm not really loving touching these things, these dirty instruments that have animal stuff on them, right? And so it's a good opportunity because you don't know what you don't know. So these are just some examples of different types of skills you could learn at the zoo. But everything we're doing, I'm going to say marketable, transferable, competitive 100 times, because it's all about that work, right? It's exciting to be able to see behind the scenes of these jobs. It's great to learn the skills, but it doesn't do us any good if all we do all day long is wipe tables, or we are shredding papers, if those aren't skills that are going to help us get a job. So we want to continue to layer on those skills so we can make sure that we have every skill possible to get a job. We're also working on anything from simple skills to the more complex, depending on the family. Excuse me for that, depending on the intern, but we're also working on those social skills. Sometimes those social skills are the ones that get us in trouble, right? And so we're working on those. We have that whole school year that we're going to layer on those skills as well. And we're always pushing our interns to do it right to that point where it's almost uncomfortable, right? To be able to learn as much as they can through the year. So our employment outcomes, 72% of our interns do get jobs where they are making on an average of $18.75 per hour. That is, I did a California because the other number, because like in minimum wage in Georgia is $7.25. Although most people don't make that now after COVID, people are making a little bit more money. But I think our average nationwide was 13. But if I'd have put that up in California, it would look like we were doing sub-minimum wage. In order for it to count as employment for us, it has to be over minimum wage or above. Okay. And it also needs to be 16 hours or above. We want to really push our interns because they've been there all day, right, in their internship. And that is about 28 hours per week. And so we feel like that if they can do their internship that long, they can at least work the 16 hours. Also, because of our collaborative agreement with DOR and regional centers and all, we have navigators that come in and can talk to family members about how much can your student make in order to be able to still maintain employment. Again, back to my own family story, one of the guys that lived with my mom, he ended up deciding because of his situation, he decided to give up the benefits and work full time, where the other two did decide that they were going to need to stay because of their own complex needs. And so one of the boys are making 20, two of them are 20 hours and the other one's 40. And So anyway, I just wanted to share that personal story. So it really does. So we have employment planning meetings and we're talking about this all the time. So what works for the family, what works for the intern, what works for the business. And so that's how all this is kind of figured out. It's very strategically done. So I'm going to share another video, and this is from the family perspective. And this I'd like to. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. This is a Blink. I don't know if you've been introduced to Blink. I love it. So you can take a picture of the screen with your phone and you will have my contact information. But again, I am Cindy Burns. I am a program specialist at Project Search, which is based out of Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Ohio, where it first began. So I'm going to go out of here for just a second and I'm going to go into hopefully another video. I'm going to back this up. Hopefully my screen is still sharing.
Jonathan is our oldest. We have 4 kids, and we did not know before he was born that he had Down syndrome. Grew leaps and bounds with time and a lot of good support from the medical community. And he was throughout high school very active. He managed the football team, managed the basketball team.
He was always a great kid. He really had high aspirations. That's where you have to start. You have to start with expectations.
So I found out about Project Search through my school, and I thought that, oh, this might be a great opportunity for me to learn even more skills.
The lead instructor for our transitional program was the one who just said, you know, yep, he's doing great, but I think this might be something really wonderful for him.
The capability to have a full-time job, and that was something we thought he would really benefit from, and that he had the ability to do so. We really wanted to give him the best opportunity he could get.
Jonathan is diligent, he's very adaptable, he's hilarious, and he's very driven here. I've been able to use him as an example for how hard to work. That has been really good for him to be an example.
Literally, they just honed him. He had great skills to begin with, but he had a lot of learning.
I had a set schedule that I know what to do and what to plan. This was a job before. I couldn't do that. Whenever I get a job done, I go to him, and usually he has nothing for me to do.
Yeah, we gotta find you something to do because you get it done too quick.
Yes.
Project Search does a great job of meeting kids where they're at. It's even a stepping stone to a career, which is a wonderful situation for anyone with special needs, you know, to be in.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. I mean, there's really, you only gain from it, and there's nothing really that you would lose. It's a no-brainer.
We are extremely blessed and honored to have Jonathan as a part of our team, and it's really been a great relationship.
It has opened more and more doors, and the sky is the limit for a lot of people with special needs.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Cindy. There was a lot of great information in there. And we again appreciate your time coming and sharing that all with us tonight. I just want to direct people's attention to the chat where there are the 2 links for the English evaluation and the Spanish evaluation. As we're doing the Q&A, if you could just click on them for easy questions and please answer them if you can. Just with the Q&A, Cindy, there are a little bit of confusion about age range in California. Can it be high school? Can it be after high school?
Yeah.
Is 22 the limit? Do they have to be regional center clients in order to partake, or can they be just Department of Rehab clients?
So yes, absolutely. For school age kids, they just, as long as they're in school, right? And so you have to have a program in your school system, and we would be able to connect you with that. Okay. And so then there's the post program, and we have people up to, I think we have 1 or 2 that are probably in their 50s, but most of our post high school program is going to be that 21 to 35-year-old, right? And so they can be either. And you don't have to be a regional center. I think typically the regional center is who funds the program for the school. You do have
for the
to be,
school. Okay.
yeah. So are the adult provider. So you don't have to be. Now I will tell you with DD centers, we do want them to be able to get the supports long term. So I know that you go from voc rehab. So you go from DD to VR back to DD for the long term, right? And so the reason we want them to have the DD services because we have found, and I know before I did this job, I worked with adults with disabilities and I was the job developer. And so sometimes they needed that long-term support, lifetime support. And some of the people I supported was for 20 years, let's say. And so in order to get that level of support, you have to be DD certified or approved for that.
Okay, so just for folks who, I think when Cindy is saying DD, she means regional center, and when she says VR, she means
DOR.
Department of Rehabilitation, DOR. We have to have different names in California. That's just how
You
we
know,
roll out here.
everything about California is a little bit different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How about does the eligibility of each place, zoo, hospitals, university differ? Like age, if they have a high school
It does.
certificate, diploma?
Each program has a different group of partners. For instance, in San Diego at the zoo, it is an adult program, and it's with ability. Just say, oh my gosh, I can see it. Oh my, options for all.
Options for all. I was going to say, yeah, was it
Options for all.
Yeah.
So options for all and the zoo and Department of Rehab work together, right? There's not a high school program involved. Where in Baldwin Park, there is a high school program involved. And so that's what differentiates. So depending on the location that your family member lives or the school they go to or not school they go to is dependent on the supports that they would need.
Okay, and people can find out about this by going to the website, which I put in the chat, but will be in the
If you go to
email.
it will show you all the locations. I kind of gave you a quick blip of it, but you can go and see what your closest program is to you by going on www Project Search, and it will say on there it will show you our portal, and you can see everything you ever wanted to know about Project Search. And there's also a video library. If you go to we have a whole YouTube page as well. So you can see all the videos of all the things that we do.
And you can get to the YouTube page through the website. And I did put the website and the location page into the chat. That will be in the email that everybody gets tomorrow. I just want to direct people's attention again to the links in the chat for the evaluations. Please click on them and fill that out if you can. So to begin, you'd go to the website, you'd contact the project search program in your area and just see if it fits, if you have a 35-year-old, if you have a 16-year-old, depending on what's available in the area.
It has, I'm sorry, I'm glad you said that. It's for a person their last year of high school. There's no going back to high school. I'm so glad you said that. So it would be that last year of high school, you finished your credits, you're done with school, right? And then this is your step. This is your transition year. A lot of times I see it as your 5th year because I think in California it's like here, pretty sure you can stay in school till you're 21. But some people choose, right, to graduate with their cohorts. You can go that 16, 17, 18-year-old and then go for that 5th year and go through Project Search. You've got all your all your high school credits done. And then you can opt to stay one more year for a transition year.
Okay, but so definitely 18 or
yes,
above. Senior
that is
year
correct.
Or above. Yes.
We do have, I'm so glad you said that. We do have we have a few 17-year-olds, but it's not typical.
Okay. Okay, but so the thing is, ask the questions like we always do. As inquisitive parents, we ask the questions, right?
Yes.
So someone's saying great program for high school level students in your area, which again, where we just established it's not really for high school students. What about adult programs? Is it only through DOR or the regional center? So that's
you would have it's your community rehab provider. So whether it's options for all or best buddies, I'm trying to think of oh my gosh, ability. There's a whole bunch of them. and
Ability Path, Ability
Hope
Central,
Services
Hope
is one.
Services, yeah.
PathPoint is a huge. PathPoint's probably my largest one that I work with. So
Okay.
anyway, so they know, right? So if you are connected to for the adult programs, who's providing the services now to your young person, or who's in your area?
Okay. And then this next question, hopefully we've covered, but for school students, how do they participate in Search, which is a full day, if they're still in school? But we've just established they're not still in school.
They're still under the school, right? So it's
They're
their
under the
class.
school district, right?
They're
But they're not
still
they're not in the classes. They're not in the daily classes, right?
They only get 1 hour of class a day, and some they are still linked to a school. All of them are a part of an education. It may be an adult college or adult university that's giving the credit or whatever. So I don't want to get too messy because everything's different and each program runs a little differently. But there is an education part of it, but they are not in school because, again, reading, writing, arithmetic is not going to get you a job.
Isn't that true? And the experience, the internships, the work that
The internships are what's going to get it. And
time and time again, right?
Yes.
Yes. There's a question in Spanish. I just translated it with Google Translate, so please forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's asking how to get this help for my 15-year-old to get a job. She's autistic, doesn't want to go to school anymore, but obviously we have to go through the school system, graduate,
go
and
through
then
the school.
maybe,
Yes. Or, you can contact DOR, but I don't know at what point DOR will provide supports as well. So
well,
15.
16 through 20 through 21 in California is something called student services, where they will help with preparation and pre-employment services. But sometimes, depending on the DOR, they may have internships as well. But then again, that's just asking your local DOR, and because we can only really provide the general information.
Yeah.
Can those in community college participate?
There are some community colleges, yes. Again, you would need to be hooked up to some type of rehab provider. Again, PathPoint.
So whoever the Department of Rehab might have as their vendor, as their job developer, that's the person.
Correct.
But your starting point would be DOR.
Yes.
And then DOR then makes your individual plan of employment, that IPE that we talk about, and then that would then refer you to the vendor, this job developer that Cindy is talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know that I am hearing that DOR is going to order selection, very possibly. And so we are trying to, unfortunately, with some of the cutbacks. So sooner than later is all I'm going to suggest, because if and when this happens, it's going to be harder for people to be able to get the supports they need.
Oh, yeah. We don't even want to. We don't even want to go there, right? We don't want to go there.
Yes.
For an adult who already has, I don't know what B's is, but for an adult who can't find a job in his career and is shy, is there any program that can help get social skills? Or is that something that you address in Project Search also?
That would be something, that is a lot of what we address. It's that part of that self-advocacy part. When I was doing program, I did it for 20 years before I came to sit in this seat. A lot of our interns were people that weren't confident and weren't strong in their advocacy. And so that is all that's a huge part. We give a curriculum, and we call it the employability curriculum they get in order to help them.
And that's part of their
that is that first hour. Absolutely.
That's their hour.
That's that first hour.
School.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I don't know, people might not understand this question, but I'm going to say it anyway. Does Workability 3 have connections with Project Search? And you might not even know what I'm talking about. So in California, there's Workability 1, which is the program that happens in high schools. There's Workability 2, which happens with community colleges, I think. And then Workability 3 could be with universities. Now, I could be wrong about that. So if whoever wrote that question wants to tell us more, that's fine, but I need to go and look. I can't retain all the information. but with the way Cindy's looking, I'm not sure that she knows either.
I'm not sure about it. I have heard
Yeah.
something about workability and, but right now I have 7 states. And so, needless to say, in Canada. So I can't always.
Oof, oof. That's a lot. That's
I'm
a lot
very
to keep
fortunate though.
straight.
I'm very fortunate, but yeah, I don't remember all the things.
Okay. Well, somebody is saying that Workability 3 is through the community college in San Diego. So Workability
Well,
3 must be
in
community
San
colleges.
Diego, the program there is definitely options for all. And they have probably one of the strongest programs. And I'm seeing Baldwin Park District also
Yes.
has a project search program.
Okay. And that would be.
And it is a high school program.
Oh, it's a high school, but it could also be up to
Yes.
22, could also be the transition
They
program.
could also do transition program, but absolutely.
Okay, great.
And I do see, yep, absolutely. Baldwin Park, it's funny, I have been in California literally all day pulling all their outcomes and seeing where the programs that I need to help enhance. And so it's funny that Baldwin Park was one I was just looking at.
That's funny.
I think it's a 3-year program. I think it's in its 3rd year. Close to that also is the project search at Kaiser, Orange County. So there's a couple in that area as well.
And that was a fairly new one. I remember when
Yes.
Dr. Richard Rosenberg was so excited that it happened. Yes.
Oh, Richard.
Yes, Richard. I know. All right, just going to direct your attention one more time to those evaluations. Please click on and answer the questions. Yes, Baldwin Park is a Kaiser Permanente. Yes, indeed it is. I think there are a lot of Kaiser hospitals, right, that have signed on. Is that right?
I'm sorry?
I was saying there are a lot of Kaiser hospitals that have signed on.
Yes, there are several. Kaisers in the South have been a little bit, COVID closed a lot of the Kaisers down. The North is moving a little slower, coming back up, but the South is fully engaged again. So I think there's like 6 programs in California that haven't opened back up. But most of them are back going strong and increasing. The regional centers are very supportive. They are seeing our outcomes, and I'm very thankful that they're continuing to grow programs, especially they're really focusing on the more rural areas because it's really hard. I mean, Imperial Valley, I don't know California that well, but it's almost like you can have one foot in Mexico and the other one in California.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
And it's going to be farming, which I think is a great thing for that area.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you your opinion on this because this is something that's outside of Project Search. But someone's just asking about son having a job. The accommodation specialist responded that they have 60 days to respond to a request about accommodations, which I don't think either of us can comment on. Just worried that the young man might get overwhelmed. How would you go about getting accommodations sooner? Just any advice, I think, more than anything, just from your years of experience.
Well, from my experience, so when you said in that what was I forgot what the title of the
accommodations specialist responded saying they need 60 days. I don't know either.
So when I did employment and I was an employment specialist and I was the trainer, it was up to me to advocate for that. And so it might be that someone from WorK Rehab, you need to have a voice. And a lot of times for families, I may be wrong, and I know for my mom, it was the same. Coming from mom, it sounds differently than from a professional.
Isn't that true?
Right?
That true? Yeah.
And so it sometimes needs to be an advocate of some kind to do that accommodating.
Yeah.
And WorK Rehab Department of Rehabilitation.
DOR.
So Division of Rehabilitation Services does have people that can do that, and as well as there are people at the regional center that specialize in that.
And if the job was gotten not going through the regional center, or if you're not a regional center client, or if you're not a client of DOR and it just came through you, then it's kind of potentially on the parent or the youth themselves to try and advocate. And that's why we want to grow these strong self-advocates from day one. That's why we're big on the self-advocacy.
It is so important for us to start at a young age for people to be encouraged to have a voice, because it's so easy to sit back and say, Mom will handle it. And I'm living proof of it, right? My mom passed away. She had 5 boys with two of them have significant that have 24-hour care, G-tube feeding, so forth. They weren't in employment, but they still needed supports. And then the other 3, 2 of them need to live in a host home type environment because they need that 24-hour care, but can go work independently and have great lives and travel. And then the one who lives totally independent, but it's because of being pushed a little bit more. And my mom and I she'd get so frustrated with me because I'd say, Mama, they can't cross that street by themselves, but as a mom, I mean, I know I remember sending my daughter off to college, right? And I'm like, I'm so scared. She's not going to be okay. It's no different than kids with disabilities, right? It's learning to let go.
Right.
But
We have to move from
we do.
manager to consultant.
Yeah.
We got to let go
Yeah.
because we're not going to be around forever.
We're not, and that's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's very hard. Somebody's saying, well, what about if someone has interest in computers and even has maybe an associate's degree or something? Any programs that come to mind in the state of California that could help with that?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't have, because that's not my expertise at all.
Okay, but nothing in Project Search that you know of.
No, not if they have a bachelor's.
Yeah, or even an associate's.
Yeah, no.
Any kind of degree. I think you said that. I think you said it's not really
certificates. Yes, and I don't know if from the video, I don't know if you saw the guy that delivered the tray.
Yeah.
Anyway,
in the hospital
with him, he got a job in dietary, and he realized he loved working with the patients so much. He went back and he got a CNA license while he was working. And so again, it's teaching people to get out of their comfort zone and really aspiring for more. Because it could have been very easy for him to say, okay, well, I'll just clean dishes and deliver trays. No. And so it was interesting. I was at a different hospital and I said, what are you doing here? Because I had just met him at a different Project Search. And he said, I'm going to get a CNA. I want to work with the patients. And what a blessing.
That's really exciting. What a success story.
Yeah, it really is. It really.
Well, I mean, I see by the clock on the screen it's 7:26. We don't have any questions, which is very unusual for us. Usually we're leaving questions on the table, but we're not.
Well, I hope I was thorough, and I hope that this was interesting, and I'm looking very forward to hopefully working. Oh, a CNA is a certified nursing assistant. So it's the person, that
helps the nurses.
Helps the nurses. That's it.
Gosh, we know nurses need help. Whatever we can give it to them.
Yes. So yes, well, again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story and then to share the life of Project Search. It really is. I can't believe I get to do this because I see so many lives changed every day.
Well,
so thank you for all the thumbs up and claps and hearts and all.
Yes, thank you. And so Cindy, thank you for coming and being with us, especially in a different time zone. Thank you, Beatrice, as always, for taking what we say in rapid fire and being able to translate and interpret it. And thank you all for coming. And any last words, Cindy?
Just keep on doing what you're doing. And thank you so much.
You. And happy birthday to your granddaughter.
Okay. Yes. Back to the party, right?
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.